people always ask the question, number one, why a panorama? Why not a standard format? And they always ask also, what is the relationship between the panoramic photographs and your other work? I said, this looks like this, and that looks like something completely different. It's a very hard question to answer because it's as if someone couldn't have within himself several facets that are equally related to your life's experience, your life's needs, your inner imagery. For me, the fascination, the eternal fascination with the panoramic photograph is that somehow or another you're looking simultaneously at all parts of this environment which surrounds you. There is a magic to it, rather than to take a standard format picture, which is a little crop out of the entire visual world that you experience if you're standing any place. And with that thing, you always imagine what was outside, what was over here. Even though you don't obviously include all of the environment everywhere, there is a sense that you're doing the best you can with it, with a panorama. And it also is equally interesting and related to something like a Chinese scroll. Automatically, you can't encompass a picture which has the format of a panoramic camera in one visual grab. You can possibly see that there are elements built up horizontally, but essentially you really begin to read it like you do a scroll. And so it's that breathing in and out from moment to moment which I find exciting about a panorama. The first panorama that I did, I think, which was, again, it didn't begin with the word panorama. I didn't say, oh, I want to do a panorama. It was that I took a number of pictures one beautiful foggy morning in the Bois de Boulogne in Paris when I was a student. And I began to look at those pictures and I thought, gosh, they really work together. This black tree turns into this black tree, and then behind that black tree, kids are running, and over here they've turned around and so forth. And it worked as a scroll, as a Chinese scroll, and I was very much interested in Chinese painting. And so I made this panorama, as it were, but it was really, in my mind, a scroll. And that picture is in the exhibition. The decision about which camera to use is a combination of what am I interested in at the time, where am I going with it, and what's most practical, really, because any camera whose optical and mechanical system works to rotate in some sense, whether it's the lens rotating in a curved film plane or whether it's, as with this big camera, that the entire camera rotates and the film passes through. The imagery is geometrically the same. It's a question of a small camera can hold focus very close up as well as far away, whereas a big camera, which provides you with much greater detail, a lot more picture elements, in other words. This camera is original only in this part back here, but this is a very important part of the camera, the important part. It is the mechanism, spring motor, a drum, and a slit that the film passes by. But this front part of the camera, which really is just a big box, I made so that I could raise the lens so that, in other words, when the image is inverted, this places the horizon line very, very close to the bottom of the picture. And that's what I wanted for seeing the city, because what I wanted to do was to have the camera pointed up, but you can't tilt a circuit camera or a panoramic camera. If you do, the landscape simply looks like a roller coaster. So the camera always has to be level in order to produce an image except a trick image. I think it helps to be a morning person with this kind of photography. I get up often at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. My family sleeps for an hour or so longer, and I love the morning hours, the isolation of early morning. So to go out with a camera early in the morning is no sacrifice for me. I really love it. And and the quiet of the city is in itself an excitement. I'm looking for something different from what the street photographer is looking for. Street photographer is doing things with the people. These pictures obviously are about another vision. Going out to look for a place where an image exists that is an image that surrounds you is something that after a while it isn't really something you think about in the sense that you figure it out logically. You walk into a place and a little bell rings and it says, there is something here. And you begin to look around and you say, there is something here, but I have to move 5 feet over this way. And you say, you get over there and you say 5 feet over this way, and you say, yes, there's something here, but I have to go 2 feet closer to that building. And you begin to sense the whole thing. You don't look through a viewfinder at all, because there's no way that you can see what exists in their viewfinder. You have an instinct for what the camera can do and how close you should be to this so that it will come up, and how far you should be from that, and you should align this corner and get that corner to come directly toward the camera so it establishes a vertical or something like that. It's a sort of an instinct for it, and the places where it has fascinated me to go out and look which pond I want to fish in other words, is a city where hopefully the streets have some randomness, and that that there is color, that there is, you know, all the normal things, texture, but also that there's a prospect for it to breathe three-dimensionally. I keep using the word breathing. What I hope people understand is that something goes back in space and comes toward you in a way that creates a kind of set of relationships. I mean, that's not different from the way that people establish relationships in a painting or whatever. In that the circuit camera uses a big piece of film and produces a large negative, there's no way to use an enlarger with it, and not much reason to. So that I had to build this contact printer. Contact printer means that you place the negative directly in contact with the sensitive paper, sensitized paper, and develop the paper instead of projecting the image as you would in an enlarger. But at any rate, this printer is about 10 feet long, 12 feet long. It's about 12 feet long altogether. And it has large array of light bulbs down here. You can change the light bulbs in order to add light to one part of the negative or subtract it. And then there's a layer of glass that I can use in here for dodging. The marvelous part about the 16-inch circuit camera is that you have such an incredible amount of detail in all of these, in every part of the picture. It's quite amazing, because essentially you've got a negative which is equivalent to about 20 8x10s in contact print form. There are obviously not a finite list of possible panoramic photographs in the world. You could take millions of them, and then there would be millions more to take. You imagine you go to a city that you're going to be able to get every interesting image that exists as a potential panoramic photograph. I think that there is that fantasy. I think if I walked around Paris for many, many years, many years, I might be able to get all of the possible images. I tend to be very obsessive about whatever it is that I do, and I'm only interested in the thing that I'm doing while I'm doing it, and I'm only interested in that thing at that time, nothing else. So that what has happened with my sculpture, with my lifelong obsession trying to figure out the riddle of the atom, or panoramic photography, is that I cycle them somehow or another by some inner means. Say I'm involved with this for a while and I become totally absorbed with it and wonder why I wasted my time with those other things. And then when I'm involved in another one of those interests, then I think, how did I waste my time with these things? So that it's the only singularly important at one time is only one of these interests. So that to say that I'll phase any of them out would be a terrible loss, because I wouldn't be able to attach myself to it again.